The cruel ledger of the 2025 WNBA season for the Indiana Fever was written primarily in the language of medical reports and rehabilitation timelines. It was a season that defied expectations not through sheer dominance, but through a staggering, almost impossible level of grit and fortitude in the face of relentless physical decay. The team navigated a gauntlet defined by injuries, transforming what should have been a rebuilding year into a dramatic saga of survival. This was the narrative foundation. The Fever's ability to constantly overcome the attrition, particularly within their guard rotation, became the defining characteristic of their campaign. The superstar centerpiece, the global phenomenon Caitlin Clark, the player everyone had waited for, was only able to grace the court for 13 games all season long, a number that sounds almost unbelievable when reflecting on the team's eventual success. Yet, against all logic and precedent, head coach Stephanie White managed to forge a cohesive unit, steering the ship through the roughest waters toward a commendable regular season record of 24 wins against 20 losses. That foundational toughness propelled them into a remarkable playoff run, a deep dive into the postseason that ultimately fell agonizingly short, missing the WNBA Finals by the narrowest margin, a single decisive game. When Clark went down early, a massive void opened in the Fever's offense and leadership. The team needed a high-octane solution, a player capable of stepping into the fire and not just maintaining the status quo, but injecting genuine energy and unexpected scoring punch. The answer came in the diminutive, yet fiercely competitive, form of Aari Mcdonald. Elevated to the role of replacement point guard, Mcdonald seized the opportunity with both hands and both feet, quickly establishing herself as an undeniable fan favorite. Her style was pure adrenaline, high-energy defense, fearless drives, and a scoring ability that grew with every week of increased responsibility. The zenith of her spectacular summer replacement act was undoubtedly the night of July 30th, where she torched the Phoenix Mercury defense, posting a career high of 27 points, a performance that cemented her place in the hearts of the Fever faithful. But the 2025 season, the crucible of adversity, proved indiscriminately cruel. Mcdonald, the very symbol of resilience who had stepped in when others faltered, eventually joined the ranks of the wounded, landing herself on the season-ending injury list alongside Clark and veteran guards like Sydney Colson and Sophie Cunningham. Her hard-fought campaign ended abruptly in August when she suffered a broken foot, a final painful blow that underscored the persistent vulnerability of the Fever roster. Now, nearly 5 months later, the stage was set not for the WNBA, but for the highly anticipated unrivaled 3-on-3 basketball league, a proving ground for players eager to stay sharp and maintain their conditioning during the traditional off-season. Mcdonald, 27 years old and riding the momentum of her impactful but truncated summer, successfully parlayed that success into a contract with a squad named Breeze. The opening game of the unrivaled season on Monday night held immense significance, marking Mcdonald's official return to competitive basketball. The excitement was palpable, not just for Mcdonald, but for an entire fanbase desperate for a sign of good health and continuity heading into the next WNBA year. Her initial post on X captured the emotional weight of the moment, a simple yet profound declaration: "Today is my first time playing in almost 5 months." The opponent added another layer of intrigue, featuring none other than her Indiana Fever teammate, the formidable post presence Aaliyah Boston, playing for the Phantom squad. This was meant to be a joyful reunion, a casual competitive preamble to the serious business of the WNBA calendar. But professional sports are frequently characterized by the stark contrast between expectation and execution, between hope and harsh reality. Mcdonald's much-anticipated return to the court, the symbolic first step back onto a playing surface after months of painstaking recovery, did not proceed according to the script of triumph. The game itself unfolded with intense pace. Breeze managed to secure the victory, 69-62, largely powered by the dominant 24-point outing from Paige Buchers. Yet, all eyes were focused on the limited minutes and eventual early exit of the Fever guard. Aari Mcdonald clocked just 6 minutes of floor time and registered only 2 points before the situation shifted dramatically and alarmingly in the third quarter. The details, always sparse and frightening in moments of sudden physical distress, pointed toward an injury of an undisclosed nature. The sequence was immediate and concerning. Mcdonald visibly checked out of the game, strategically committing an intentional foul, a clear maneuver designed to stop play and allow her departure without drawing undue attention to the nature of the discomfort. What followed instantly wiped away the celebratory mood surrounding her return. She bypassed the bench, heading straight back to the locker room, flanked by members of the medical and training staff. The camera held on the image of her receding figure, the uncertainty of her gait speaking volumes that official reports could not yet confirm. Crucially, in the immediate aftermath, there was no clarity regarding the mechanism of the injury, how she sustained it, nor the nature of the evaluation being conducted. She did not return to the game, leaving a void of information and, far worse, a growing, gnawing sense of apprehension across the WNBA landscape. 4 Indiana Fever fans, who had endured the unrelenting tragedy of the 2025 injury woes, this type of setback, an early exit, an intentional foul, a direct walk to the locker room 5 months post-major injury, was quite literally the absolute last thing they wanted to witness. It was a terrifying echo of the past season's trials and tribulations, a chilling reminder of how quickly hope can be extinguished by the fragility of the human body. The fear immediately coalesced into a single question: was this merely a scare, or the precursor to a far more devastating announcement regarding the very limb that had been fractured just months prior? The collective holding of breath was only released slightly the following day. Recognizing the massive concern her abrupt departure generated, Aari Mcdonald utilized her social media platform on Tuesday to offer a vital positive update. The crisis seemed to have been averted, at least temporarily. Had a little scare last night, Mcdonald wrote simply on X, providing the necessary reassurance, "I'm all good, y'all." Assuming this declaration of health holds true, and that the scare was indeed just a minor setback, Mcdonald is slated to be back in action for Breeze's next contest. The upcoming game, scheduled for Friday night at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time, and broadcast nationally on TNT and True TV, presents another significant intersection with the Indiana Fever roster. Mcdonald and Breeze will face off against the Hive, a team anchored by the Fever's own All-WNBA guard, Kelsey Mitchell. Mitchell, a reliable pillar for Indiana through thick and thin, posted 11 points in Hive's opening game, a 72-56 loss against the Mist on Monday. This potential matchup adds a layer of inter-team rivalry to the 3-on-3 format, transforming Mcdonald's next appearance from a simple exhibition into another chapter in the overarching narrative of the Indiana Fever's ongoing quest for full health and ultimate redemption. The scare has passed, but the tension, built upon the foundation of the arduous 2025 season, remains a constant, urgent undercurrent in every step Mcdonald takes on the court. The collective breath held by the Indiana Fever faithful was already strained, burdened by the ghosts of a devastating 2025 campaign defined not by glorious victories but by the grinding attrition of injury. Every movement Aari Mcdonald made on the 3-on-3 court for Breeze was under intense scrutiny, not merely as a test of her skill in a new high-octane format, but as a crucial barometer for the structural integrity of the Fever's immediate future. This Monday night contest against Fever teammate Aaliyah Boston and Phantom was meant to be a celebration, a definitive closing of the chapter on a broken August foot, a triumphant announcement that the replacement point guard, who had so dynamically saved the 2025 season from complete collapse after Caitlin Clark's premature exit, was finally whole again. Mcdonald herself had set the stage with undeniable eagerness, marking the occasion on social media, her first competitive action in almost 5 months. The anticipation was thick, a mix of hope and the lingering dread that always shadows a major comeback. The game began with promise, the pace of the unrivaled league immediately showcasing the unique blend of speed and scoring prowess that had made Mcdonald a fan favorite. But the promised narrative of seamless return quickly fractured. The rhythm never settled, the 5 months of grueling rehabilitation perhaps manifesting as subtle hesitation or an uncharacteristic lack of burst. Mcdonald registered only 2 points and played just 6 minutes, a fleeting presence that did little to soothe the anxiety of those monitoring her every step. Then, in the third quarter, the collective heartbeat of the Fever Nation momentarily ceased. It wasn't a sudden dramatic fall, which often defines catastrophic injuries, but a more insidious, controlled exit, a moment that signaled the internal recognition of distress. Mcdonald committed an intentional foul, a deliberate act signaling her immediate and undeniable need to stop play and leave the court. This calculated maneuver was the final, devastating punctuation mark on her short-lived return. As she checked out of the game, bypassing the bench and walking directly back toward the sanctity of the locker room, flanked immediately by medical staff, the scene became eerily familiar. It was the last thing any fan wanted to witness, especially one tied to an organization that had just spent an entire WNBA season navigating a labyrinth of setbacks. The ambiguity surrounding the injury was perhaps the most frightening element. Was it a recurrence of the previously broken foot, or a new compensation injury arising from the months spent favoring the recovering limb? The commentators offered speculation, the cameras lingered, but the immediate truth remained locked behind the closed doors of the training room evaluation. Mcdonald did not return to the game, leaving her teammates, led by the outstanding performance of Paige Buchers, to secure the 69-62 victory over Phantom. The win felt hollow, overshadowed by the potential gravity of Mcdonald's sudden departure. The weight of this setback cannot be overstated without fully appreciating the incredible, nearly impossible, journey the Indiana Fever undertook in 2025. When Clark, the cornerstone of the franchise, went down, the season should have dissolved. Instead, head coach Stephanie White, through sheer tactical brilliance and the emergence of unexpected heroes, managed to coalesce the remaining roster into a fiercely competitive unit. Aari Mcdonald was paramount to the survival effort. She transitioned from a valuable reserve to a dynamic starting point guard, injecting an aggressive tempo and scoring punch, epitomized by her career-high 27-point explosion against the Phoenix Mercury. Her presence provided the necessary foundation for the Fever to achieve a stunning 24-20 record and execute a remarkable playoff run that ended just 1 game short of the WNBA Finals. But that success came at a terrible cost, culminating in Mcdonald herself joining the season-ending injury list alongside Clark, Sydney Colson, and Sophie Cunningham. The team had successfully overcome physical adversity once, but the fear now was that the mental and physical toll of that relentless fight was still extracting its price months later, threatening the optimism built for the upcoming WNBA campaign. For the Fever, Mcdonald's health isn't merely about individual performance. It is about crucial guard depth and the psychological readiness of the entire organization. Having stared into the abyss of a decimated roster, the specter of another major injury, even in the off-season, generates seismic waves of anxiety. The possibility of losing a key rotational piece, especially one who proved irreplaceable in the previous year, immediately casts a long shadow over the team's aspirations for 2026. This is the inherent risk of participation in off-season leagues, a necessary evil for players seeking to maintain sharp competitive edge and secure additional income, but one that constantly dangles the threat of career-altering damage. The moment Mcdonald hobbled off the unrivaled court, all the promise and preparation for the Fever's redemption season flashed into doubt. The lingering tension hung heavy for nearly 24 hours, a silent scream of worry reverberating through social media forums and fan discussions. Then, like the first ray of sunlight cutting through a dense fog, the definitive update arrived. Tuesday brought the much-needed correction to the frightening narrative. McDonald utilized the same platform she used to announce her return to share the good news. Brief but potent, had a little scare last night, she wrote on X. I'm all good, y'all. The relief was immediate and overwhelming. The ambiguity dissolved, the worst-case scenarios evaporated, and the narrative of comeback was firmly placed back on track. It was a near miss, a powerful reminder of the fragility of elite athleticism, but a scare that, thankfully, appears to have been just that, a temporary fright, not a tragedy. This resolution is vital, not just for McDonald's personal career momentum. She earned her contract with Breeze precisely because of her standout performance filling the void in 2025, but for the broader structural integrity of the Indiana Fever. Assuming this minor scare truly holds no long-term ramifications, McDonald's recovery remains on schedule, allowing her to resume building strength and confidence ahead of WNBA training camp. The next step in this crucial off-season preparation is already scheduled, providing the immediate focus for her comeback narrative. McDonald and Breeze are set to return to action this Friday, facing Hive in a nationally televised matchup. This next contest carries its own weight of significance for the Fever organization, regardless of the unrivaled scoreline. It features a direct high-profile confrontation with another crucial Fever stalwart, Kelsey Mitchell. Mitchell, the Fever's all-WNBA guard, provided essential leadership and scoring during the injury crisis, yet her Hive team stumbled in their unrivaled opener against Mist. The Friday night game, broadcast on TNT and True TV, now serves as an unofficial internal litmus test for the Fever's key playmakers. Fans will be watching McDonald intently to ensure she displays the high-energy, scoring-driven plays she is known for, proving the scare was indeed transient. Her ability to compete effectively against a defensive force like Mitchell will be the ultimate validation that her 5-month recovery is complete and that the 2025 injury woes are finally confined to the historical record. A fully healthy Aari Mcdonald means the Indiana Fever can realistically look forward to the 2026 season with the crucial guard depth they lacked in a year prior. It allows head coach White to potentially reintegrate a recovered Clark alongside a confident McDonald, offering an explosive backcourt rotation that few teams in the WNBA could handle. This positive social media update was far more than just news about an off-season league. It was the psychological closure necessary for the Fever organization to finally turn the page on a season defined by heroic, yet heartbreaking, physical limitations. The journey continues, and while the court is unforgiving and the risks are ever present, for Aari Mcdonald and the Indiana Fever, the nightmare scenario has been narrowly averted, and the stage is set for a true, unburdened comeback.